Hi folks, this is Dr. Patrick Foy at the Tailbone Pain Center here in New Jersey, and this is just a short video to answer the question about tailbone pain in association with hip pain, so at the hip joint or hip tightness. And it was actually a discussion I had just this past week with a patient who was having a lot of tightness in her hips, and she had been experiencing tailbone pain for a significant amount of time. And the general issue, as I see it, is that when people have tailbone pain, they tend to sit abnormally because the body is smart and it's looking to avoid pain. So people will sit where they're leaning towards one side or the other, or they'll sit bending, leaning forward so that the tailbone is not making so much contact with the chair that they're sitting on. But the downside of that is if you're sitting for a prolonged duration of time, leaning forward or leaning to one side for hours at a time, it's very, very common, that you would start to develop stiffness and tightness within the hip joints because you're sitting. Let me see if I can kind of show this. If you're sitting leaning forward, you're flexing at the hip, and therefore you're not going to, you're not going to be having sort of the normal neutral hip position the way that people without tailbone pain would sit. So it's not uncommon, to see that combination. I certainly see a number of patients where they've had tailbone pain for a while, and because of abnormal sitting, other parts of the body, including the hips, will start to hurt. And in general, if the tailbone was the primary problem, the goal is to treat the tailbone pain, get the tailbone pain under as good a control as possible, and then often those other areas will start to quiet down as the person can sit more normally. But sometimes the pain and tightness and stiffness and decreased range of motion may persist in those other areas and actually need specific treatment above and beyond what we're doing specifically at the tailbone for a given patient. So anyway, just a quick video with my thoughts and comments on hip joint tightness and pain and stiffness seen sometimes in combination for patients who are suffering from coccydynia or Coccyx pain, tailbone pain. Anyway, hope that's helpful. If you want more information, you can find me online at tailbonedoctor.com, and hope that's helpful. Okay, bye-bye.